if we think about the chaotic path, kind of on one side is chaos, right? So if we think about that kind of as almost a swirling circle, and then order as another kind of swirling circle. These things have a bit of overlap, and the chaotic path is actually that overlap, walking in that overlap.
In the rhythm of chaos and order, that is a natural cycle, but we have learned and been taught to fear chaos and overdo order. And overdo order we call control, but I think there is a beautiful harmony in chaos and order that is worth exploring. And the chaotic path seems to be a way to practice how to live with this.
How about if we co-create the plan forward together? How about if we bring voices in the room that have not been invited in the room in past? If you're thinking about working with young people, for instance, on a project that affects youth, if it's about us, don't do it without us. So let's get those voices in the room. Well, that might not be the order that folks are really used to. All of a sudden they're in different opinions and different views, but that chaos can become order, and in that intersection, all those new voices may bring a new lens on the challenge and a new innovative way forward.
We could think about it as a leadership competence. A way to have courageous leadership in your community is to be able to walk the chaotic path, to be able to move between chaos and order, kind of knowing that sometimes chaos is needed, and can you call that in? And sometimes there are times for order. And can you call that in? What are the questions you can ask that could bring a little creativity, a little generativity, a little uncertainty? And then what are the processes or harvests or structures that would bring a little bit of order? And some people will say that the place between control and order is management, which is okay, like there's a place for that. And that the place between chaos and order is around leadership. When the problems are so complex, one person cannot possibly solve them, that's where we need to walk the chaotic path.
If we get into chaos, I think we most often shoot into the order, needing that order and creating that order. But to really give people the opportunity to stay in the questions, I think that's one of the biggest pieces to help people become more comfortable with asking the questions and just being in the asking.
The chaotic stepping stones offer for us a guide for walking the chaotic path. The major stepping stones are need, purpose, principles, people, concept, limiting beliefs, structure, practice, and then harvest. We often step into the work 3 or 4 stepping stones into the process. So we might start out right away speaking about budget or structure. Are we going to meet every Thursday, or which people need to be here? And the stepping stones invite us to back up and say, well, what's our real need we're working on? Let's get clear about need first. Then we can figure out what are some of the principles that are going to bring us together. How are we going to operate as a team? Whose voices should be in the room, but it is really a guide for working in that chaotic path, in that chaotic space.
In a chaotic learning space, held well, you can bring people together who have conflict and fear each other, and where confusion usually arises between people, because there's a space big enough for that to exist. And out of that space arises the next level of order. And so it's an evolutionary process in some kind of simple and magic way, but not the magic of superficial magic, the magic of life itself.